All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Steven Universe Revisit with Panda and Alex. I'm Pandora, fictive of Junko Enoshima, and this is Alex.
Hello, Pandora.
Hey. It's lovely to be here tonight on the Steven Universe Revisited Arena. In this corner is Season 1, Episode 21, Joking Victim. And in this corner is Pandora, who's the big bad bee.
And then there's me.
In a third corner. I don't know what's in the fourth corner. I'm gonna say it's
Rebecca
audacity.
Sugar?
I don't want to fight Rebecca Sugar for many reasons.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think she's gone through enough.
Is it she or they now?
I believe she does she and they pronouns, but
Okay, just
I
double checking.
believe that I believe they've gone through enough.
Yeah, I also do she, they pronouns, but probably in a different way. Probably. I don't know. I mean, they made this show, which, can immediately get whatever. Season 1, episode 21, Joking Victim. Go!
Yeah, we're not going to diagnose Rebecca Sugar's potential plurality here.
Nope, not at all. But if you're watching, Rebecca, always remember, thank you for existing, Garnet. Thank you for existing, Amethyst. Thank you for existing, Pearl. As simply
Then
that.
there's Opal, and then Sugalite, who was the subject of our last
That was quite the episode.
incredibly incredibly
Involved.
weighty episode. And then there will be more characters to come who may or may not represent what plurality means.
And may or may not form in this head that I'm currently occupying.
Oh, y'all are gonna love the polyamory worm.
I'm in
All right, joking
danger.
victim, let's go.
Okay, the start of the episode. Freaking Steven is just hanging out on the board walk at the beach city. He's doing that thing which like you only really think about when you actually go to a beach yourself, but when you gotta like get your feet clean of that crusty darn sand or whatever, and he's just cleaning his freaking feet because he walked on the beach or whatever the heck. When Amethyst walks up to him and says, "Hey, Steven, have some special fries," and Steven's like, "Oh boy, would I?" And then he has it, and Amethyst goes, "Yeah, it's special because they were doused with fire salt." And Steven starts running around in a panic because his like mouth is friggin' on fire from how spicy the fire salt is. I I'm assuming fire salt is like a gem thing or something because
Yeah, it's a gem thing.
all right. And this leaves Steven to scramble around until he runs to the big donut where Sadie and Lars are working, where he, in a panic, just goes to the soda machine and starts waterboarding himself with soda to get the spice out of his mouth, which leaves a huge soda mess over the ground, which leaves Lars to complain and slip in the soda and fall on his back, which uh, through a little more complaining, he tells Sadie to clean up the mess. He says something like, "Don't you know someone has to clean up this mess? Sadie, clean up this mess," despite him standing much closer. And Sadie says that she cleaned the last quote unquote 5 Stevens, which leads to Lars very convincingly saying, "Oh, my back, it's like totally broken right now." And he throws it back a little and then bends at a really weird angle, and then Sadie, like feeling bad, says that he can go home because he hurt his back. Uh, After she realizes that she's the only one looking after the store, she goes like, "Wait, I can't look after the store by myself." Despite I'm assuming like 3 people come every hour. Steven then goes, "I can help." And Sadie agrees, leading Steven to go through the wonderful adventure of listening to an 80s worker videotape introduction to being a worker at a retail food location.
featuring Mr. Smiley, who have we talked about him?
I
I feel like we
I
have,
believe
but it also feels like we haven't.
we have. I believe we mentioned him in the sense that he like is working every job at Beach City at the same time,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
far
yeah.
that's his job. But it establishes that like Steven's like, whoa, Mr. Smiley worked at that's the Steven impression. Worked at Big Donut, and then Sadie goes like, nah, he was just an actor slash was it R&B singer. What are we doing?
Actor, R&B singer.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, if Rebecca Sugar reboots this show, which she says she would like to, y'all should probably be the voice of Steven.
That was not the direction we thought it was going to go, and you almost made us spit out water, but thank you. Right. Anyway, it's obviously a reference to the fact that Mr. Smiley is played by Sinbad, which is kind of what he would do back in the day, and it just goes into a very very long. I think it's really funny that Sadie goes that she can't look after the store by herself, and then spends the next probably couple of hours sitting there with Steven as a nonstop like music video explanation by Mr. Smiley is being done. Obligatory. Well, it certainly wasn't Sinbad. Yeah, but it was certainly sung bad. Oh, ho, 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 ho. Um, I hate talks in the songs. He's talking about like napkins are free, like choking, how to help someone with a choking hazard, stuff like that. Um, One little detail in this scene that I like, they're in like the back room, the break room in the back of the store, and it really does look like every crappy job you've worked at as like a teenager, like trying to like shell food or whatever to random people. And what I really like about it is that in the background, it's such a small detail, but there's a purple puma and tiger millionaire poster in the back, which I imagine was drawn by Lars.
Yeah, he was the one who was into that.
But yeah, and then Steven sells a few donuts to people now that he's finally finished the VHS tape. He initially didn't even know what a VHS was, and Sadie had to clarify that basically all.
Yeah, he is extremely
Which is
sheltered.
interesting because I thought that. Oh no wait, I'm misremembering the fact that Greg like he put a CD in his car, not like a little cassette tape, right? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Just making double checking sure. Uh, at this point, Steven sells a couple donuts. We have a moment with the current day Mr. Smiley, who still remembers the song. He gets sad because he realizes that people don't think he's a current R&B singer actor. It's probably because you work every other job in the city, dude. Not gonna lie. What if that
Oh,
is?
I can't say what I know about Mr. Smiley right now because of where we are, but this will come back later.
Well, now I have something to be excited about. Now I can be all smiles. Yes, queen. Uh Kamakura, Kamakura, yes, queen. Anyway, uh this leads them to have like such a good day at the donut shop that Steven in kind of the more like funnily selfish moments of Steven, he goes like, "Well, we had a great time, but with Lars, maybe we should fire Lars and keep me instead." Um, v-
Yeah, it was strangely selfish of him.
Strangely selfish, kind of funny because especially the instant thought is like, Steven, you can't go on missions if you work this job. The inherent downside of retail, Steven. But whatever. Uh, this leads to Sadie actually talking about whether or not like Lars is taking advantage of her, and she talks about this one time where she waited in line for a video game because it was at a place he he was not allowed to be in. We didn't get into the details.
Yeah, he was banned from the one place where they sold this game. He was banned from it because, of course, he would be banned from it. Lars is a very contentious character, not only in the fandom, but in the text of the show itself.
Yeah, definitely. Another sip. Make sure to take a sip, babes. But Sadie talks about how like after she got the game for him, they like spent up all night playing the game together, like player one and player two. Yeah, because like earlier in the episode, Lars calls Sadie his player two and stuff like that. So she thinks like happy about that. Um, and she still thinks that she's friends and that he's a good guy uh, once you get to know him, etc., etc. So they decide to, still under the impression that Lars is having a back injury, they take some donuts over to Lars's place, which when they get there, they find that the pizza family's car is there. Steven initially assumes that like he just got pizza, which is not a bad assumption, honestly. But they find out that Lars is going on the world's smallest trampoline with all the cool kids from the earlier episode we saw, and he's bragging about the fact that he faked having a back injury to get out of work to do this. This very sad, honestly. I don't know if this is just us, but like faking a back injury to get out of work to go into the backyard and jump on the trampoline is such a juxtaposition. Does that make sense, Alex?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's rather
It's
pathetic.
pretty pathetic. I mean, the rest of the
It's one of the most pathetic things I think Lars does in season one.
yeah, like the cool kids are jumping around on a trampoline, but like they didn't quit out of work to get here. They just assume that this is well, no, but he's bragging about it to him. I don't know. If I was a teen there, I'd probably go like like I get it, but it's kind of lame, you know?
It is rather lame. He did something really lame.
And this is where like honestly, I know that the show has like a what would you call it? A reputation for this, but this is where Sadie like has like a good cry moment where she realizes that like Lars is just kind of lying and taking advantage of her kindness to goof off and do things with other people because he doesn't care as much as her as a friend as he like made it out to be. Um, and she says she's hurt, like tears are coming out, and she says that sometimes she just wish she could like burn Lars the same way he does her. And Steven, very intelligent boy, goes, "I know how to burn people," and and like tells Sadie to wait there, and then he goes like, actually this will take a while. See you tomorrow," and he just like runs away. Where we cut to the next day where Sadie is at work. And like very interesting and possibly fun detail, like immediately, is that Sadie's at work before Lars has even showed up, which I'm assuming implies that Lars is once again late. Uh,
Yeah, Sadie's a very hard worker.
Sadie is a hard worker. Um, but yeah, and that's when Steven presents the fire salt that he was burned himself at the beginning of the episode because he doesn't understand the teenage concept of burned. Um, Sadie is apprehensive at first because like retaliating with attempting to hurt someone else, that is kind of like a moral question of like, yeah, they like hurt you, but should you hurt them back or something?
Well, she doesn't understand the concept of fire salts because she's not a
That
gem.
is also
And
true.
Steven didn't explain them as well as he should have. He really should have been a lot more careful with the way he was going about this because his carelessness results in the next event that Pandora will explain.
Hooray. But that's when Lars finally comes into work. I don't think he was even wearing the uniform. I think he was wearing like a scorpion t-shirt, right?
I feel like he
Yeah,
was.
he came into work and going like, "Oh, I finally got out of bed, Sadie. I don't think I can work today," despite the fact that he physically went to work by himself instead of just calling in. I assume that it has a
He
different.
should have
He
just
just
called
should have just
in.
called in. He would have avoided this whole mess. Like, I mean, it would have led to a different mess. But you know what exactly what I'm about to say. But Sadie, now very mad with Lars, just like dumps a bunch of the fire salt onto the donut, and that's when he goes, "Hi, Lars. It looks like you haven't recovered well, but before you leave, have a donut." She says, like, very lacking emotion, which was honestly a good like voice acting. I noticed. I don't know. Uh, would you note that, Alex? Because I just liked her voice performance there by Sadie's voice actress. What is Sadie's voice actress actually?
I don't know her name. I do not remember.
Well, I wanted to give us.
But I would actually call it the strongest piece of voice acting in the episode. So yeah, aside from Amethyst, but then again, Amethyst and Pearl, who wasn't in this episode's VAs, are always spectacular.
It says
In
that.
fact, Amethyst and Pearl's VAs were some of the only reasons I kept watching this show. Their voice acting is legitimately that good.
Yeah, it says that Kate Misuchi, I think, is the one who did it. Oh, she also voices Webby in DuckTales. That's very lovely. But she does that, and predictably, Lars eats it and says, "Good." Steven laughs because did Sadie say he doesn't feel too hot? I know that hot was the word, but the point is, immediately after that, Lars opens his mouth and real fire erupts out of his mouth, flying out of his, just flying everywhere and burning a bunch of things in the store. And for like that point, Sadie and Steven like rush after him because he can't stop letting fire shoot out of his mouth as he runs around the town in like pain from the prank. Um, I think they follow him.
Man is a living
He's a
flamethrower.
living flamethrower, which leads us to a gag, which I do think is funny, where they go to Mayor Dewey, who's unveiling a new like piece for Beach City, which is just a giant bowl of ice cream, like real ice cream. And there's a like a string of jokes that I honestly like right here, where he's standing in front of a statue of himself. He like is announcing the ice cream thing, but he goes like, "We all scream," and then he has to like pull his sleeve up to look at the text that's clearly written on his arm for ice cream.
It's such a funny joke because that's such a common expression. You don't expect it.
Yeah.
It's a nice little misdirection.
And then Lars comes screaming in and just puts his face in the ice cream and it immediately melts and explodes like all over everyone. Which Mayor
Yeah,
Dewey,
he screams
he
for
squeezed
ice
their ice cream
cream.
very hard. And then Mayor Dewey like calls somebody and says like, "Yeah, it melted." And then like he pauses and goes like, "Well, why did you tell me it would melt at the meeting?" And that's the last we see of that character this episode. Uh,
No, that's the last of him we see for the entire show. He never shows up
This is
again.
so sad. We all scream for Dewey. Whatever.
Rest in pizza pasta, Mayor Dewey. I'm joking, by the way. He does show up again.
Yeah. But yeah, it's,
It's just fun to make jokes at his
it
expense.
is. It is. Speaking of expense, Lars comes screaming onto the boardwalk where Amethyst is, who is just sitting there in like basically the same spot eating fries. I guess this is just the equivalent of her smoke break place. Uh, and she like sees Steven, goes, "Hey Steven, what's going on?" It's like, "I put all the fire salt like onto Lars's mouth." And she goes, "Wow, Steven, that's really funny." And then she goes back to eating her fries. And as they're like Sadie, Steven, and Lars are all going through this situation, Amethyst is literally just standing there being like a Statler and Waldorf, like commenting on it and going like, "Yeah, this is great." And that's her character for this. It's really funny, but
It's her funniest in
The
the
funniest.
series.
Lars like starts grabbing.
Actually, I think this is the only time in the series where Amethyst is funny and not fat phobic jokes.
That is a loaded statement. I'm going to continue with the plot, but I'll see where we go. Um, Speaking of loaded, Lars attempts to strangle Steven or something because Heath blames Steven for all the fire shooting out of his mouth, where Sadie then reveals that no, Sadie was the one who doused the donut with all that fire salt, and she was the one who wanted to prank him because of him taking advantage of her and stuff. And that's when Mr. Smiley's song comes back to Steven to put your arms around and like I can't remember the actual lyrics, but
He gives Lars the
the
Heimlich
Heimlich
treatment.
treatment, which lets Lars spit out the flaming donut, which looks like he took a bite of a donut, didn't chew, and just swallowed, by the way. It was just like perfectly intact. Uh,
It was perfectly intact.
and Sadie, like, what do you call that thing? The fire extinguisher over the donut, extinguishing all the fire, and Sadie and Lars then sort of make up with Lars, like offering his help. Not really a, I don't know if he apologizes, but he basically says that like he'll try to help, and yeah, that's kind of where it ends because they walk off because Lars has been severely burned from this, but figuratively and literally. That's what Steven says. The day has been saved once again by Steven Universe. And Amethyst goes, "Yeah, we did. We make a great team." And Steven says, "Amethyst, you did absolutely nothing." And Amethyst goes, "Eh," and then the episode ends. So
All right.
I feel like that was one of our longer ones. Oh my god, we're almost at 20 minutes. Oh my gosh.
We're actually at 22 minutes and 38 seconds now.
Jeez. I guess that's a sign I like the episode because I remembered that much about it.
Well, it is a very interesting episode. It's one of the. I, it's not more interesting than Frybo. I think Frybo is one of the best Steven Universe human gem episodes. But this is definitely a really solid episode in its own right. As the first proper Sadie and Lars episode, it does a very good job of introducing who these characters are, setting up their dynamic, and what we can expect to see from them in the future.
Uh-huh. It did like explore their relationship a lot, and this kind of showed that you were mentioning it, but it seemed that they're very bad at communication with each other at this stage.
Oh, yeah. Sadie and Lars have no ability to communicate with each other. I actually think they're a very loving homage to Luann and Buckley from King of the Hill.
Really?
But that's just yeah. In the pandemic, the first year of the pandemic, 2020, I actually binged with my ex the entire series King of the Hill. And now that I'm rewatching Steven Universe, I actually see a lot of Luann and Buckley and Lars and Sadie.
Hmm.
Uh, it's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, like yeah. I Sorry, my throat hurts a little, much like Lars did at the end of the episode.
You want me to just keep going?
Yeah, sure.
And this is also some of the first instance of Sadie being jealous over Lars. There are also insinuations that Sadie holds feelings for Lars.
You
And
mentioned there was a good shot in the episode where Sadie and Steven come across Lars and the cool kids. Haha, just like the episode. But there is
yeah.
a very like well placed shadow which shows Steven in the light, but Sadie like in the shadow in a different color palette behind Steven immediately.
Yeah, that was actually one of the best shots of the episode.
Yeah. Um I I think I mentioned most of what I wanted to say about this episode, interlaced throughout the description, and I do think it did. I do think it did a good job showing the tumultuous relationship between
Yeah, tumultuous.
Lars and Sadie at the moment. It's complicated. They're both working a poor, like, obviously a poor job. We mentioned that we don't even know if they have a boss, and we joked that we didn't mention the joke where they used to make donuts, but then they haven't ever since the accident. And they just pan over to a silhouette of what appears to be the last ashes of some guy flashed onto the wall of the building, and we like to joke that that was their boss, and they just work alone now, I guess.
Their boss got incinerated.
Incinerated, much like Lars's throat to several. um,
True.
yeah, but yeah, I kind of went over most of what I wanted to say. I did like this episode. I think it had a lot of good moments. I think that Sadie is a good character to react the way she did to Lars, and I'm curious to see how I'll react to similar, well, reactions from characters in the future.
This is actually a super good episode because not only is it a good foundation for Sadie and Lars going forward, but the episodes in the future that we are going to see will actually build off of this episode magnificently. Like, I can't state this enough. This is an excellent introduction to Sadie and Lars, and one of the best human introductions that we've ever gotten. Not even Greg's introduction was this strong.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And I imagine Greg's introduction wasn't that strong because he's a character who doesn't have an arc. He's a static character.
He's
But
also
Sadie and Lars are dynamic characters that do grow with the show.
definitely. Not to mention that, like, Steven has genuinely known Greg for a very long time versus Sadie and Lars, which he very obviously only knows on a surface level.
Yeah, you do get like inklings of Sadie and Lars's complexities in this episode that builds up as the show lives and breathes. But it's definitely very interesting to compare them from their first appearance to their last.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you like more, Jill? Sadie or Lars?
I'm gonna go with Sadie, because I think I have gone into those situations where, like, a like a fellow employee would take advantage of my kindness to mess around. Like, I used to work at a toll booth at a theme park, and there would be times where I was basically the only one at the toll booth, and the other person was shut off the toll booth to do nothing in their toll booth for an hour, and they weren't even on break. They just did that.
Oh my goodness. That's right, y'all did used to work for Redacted.
Redacted. I hate you, Redacted. I'll kill you, Redacted. Redacted. Anyway, but I think because of that, like, it is hard for us to like Lars in this moment, and the episode is obviously painting you to not really like Lars. Uh, it just makes me think of those people who would casually abuse people's friendliness, and it sucks.
Well, he is. That just is the reality of Lars as a
That's
character.
true.
He, not everyone you're going to meet in your life is going to leave you in a better space than before. A lot of people are, well, people in general, because of the way our society works, do just tend to ebb on the meaner side of things. I don't think that's Lars's fault, though. We should probably cut it here, though.
Yeah, we've gone long enough. So, surprisingly talkative for this episode. I was not expecting that, but yeah,
Well, we should probably expect this for Sadie and Lars episodes because they're
I
some
guess
of the
that's
most
true.
interesting human characters Steven Universe has to offer.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to. I'm looking forward to it, and I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
All right.
Well, As usual, I'm Trans Panda, Pandora, talking to you all out there. You can find us at Trans Panda 1 on Tumblr or Trans Panda Art on Tumblr and Twitter. And this is Alex.
Hi, my Patreon will be linked in the description. If you'd like to financially support us, please consider it.
And that's the episode. Tune in next time for season 1, episode 22.
22, Steven and the Stevens.
Steven and this. Oh, wow, that's going to be an episode. Yeah, that's going to be an episode. Well, look forward to that, everybody. This is Pandora signing out, and thank you for existing.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. If I could begin to be half of what you think of me, I could do about anything. I could even learn how to love like you.